I think this is a win for the BCGEU. It blew a hole in the argument from Premier David Eby that he had put on the table the absolute maximum that the provincial taxpayer could afford. There's a couple different ways that the GEU, I think, won this year. The first is on wages. The cost of living, government's own cost of living estimate for the next 2 years is around 4.8%. This deal will give the GEU 6% over 2 years, so they got more than cost of living out of government. The second is the terms of the deal. The government wanted 2 years because 3-year deal, which typically is what we get, would have put this up for renewal right before the next provincial election. The GEU pushed them to 4, so they've locked in this 3% a year for 4 years, which creates a much longer runway than government wanted because it views the economy as unpredictable, it views its deficit as unsustainable, and it's trying to sort of chart a short path out, and this is a 4-year commitment to higher wages.
The Minister of Finance, I think it was on Thanksgiving, she had put out a video just saying that there is a deal to be done, but we have to be fair. And like you mentioned, the deficit, cost of living, this goes beyond the cost of living, like you said, which is a win for the union. But what does it do for the government and the cost to taxpayers?
Well, if you sort of do the cumulative math, like you start at around $1.6 billion a year here, and then you kind of build from that. One way to look at it is over the first 2 years, this deal is a 60% increase in cost from what government wanted, what it very first put on the table at the beginning of the negotiation. So that's movement. By year 3, just to put this in perspective here, by year 3, the cumulative cost of this deal when you expand it out to the rest of the public sector will be more than government has in contingencies to fund it. All contingencies, and contingencies are used for firefighter salaries and for various other things too. So without massive cuts, new revenue sources or something on top of the additional $12 billion deficits that we're forecasting for the next 3 years in that range, this really puts a strain on the provincial budget, and it'll be up to the Premier to explain how, in fact, government's going to pay for it.
How does he sell it? And is there an instinct on why this deal happened today? Why now?
I think the BCGEU has been very effective at putting pressure on government, made it uncomfortable for government. The Premier has a leadership vote at the NDP convention in just over 2 weeks. The organized labor has an immense amount of control inside the NDP on that vote. He's worried about his leadership number vote. There's no hard and fast number, but if you get down below, 80%, 70% as a premier, you're in big trouble. So this paves the way for a happier organized labor movement in the future, and maybe a higher leadership vote for the premier.
I'll let you go in just a moment, Rob, but what does this do going forward with all the other contracts that are out there? Other unions are going to be coming to the table to get their deals done with this government. Has the stage been set then? Is this the precedent? Is this how all other unions will approach their contract talks?
Most of the unions in BC, the public sector unions, have Me Too clauses. So this becomes the starting point. Those numbers we were talking about earlier on cost, that's if you expand it all to the rest of the public sector, which is what happens. So this is the floor for the future deals. Now, there'll be side pot deals, recruitment money for nurses, working and teacher classroom conditions for teachers. Doctors have their own kind of special physician master agreement. But the base now becomes this 4-year, 12% deal. And that's a win, not just for the BCGEU, but for the rest of organized labor in these talks.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for your time tonight, Rob.